My 27 meters sister, 24F, has sex with her boyfriend in front of their 2-year-old son. I think it's wildly inappropriate and borderline abusive, but I don't know what to say or do to make her see it that way. I basically found this out when I was playing with my 2-year-old nephew, and he started sensually making love to my leg. After putting an immediate stop to that, I confronted my sister, and she said that she and her BF do it while he's in the room. She said that he cries if they leave him alone, and it's not like he'll remember anything anyway, so they just do it in front of him. This is messed up. I don't know what I can say or do to convince her to see how messed up this is. I don't want to tell other people or do something rash to make things awkward for her or get her in trouble. I just want my nephew to not have to go through that. He's too old to be in the room when adult things are happening. If he does something sexual in front of someone else, they'll call CPS on her because they'll assume he's being sexually abused. They need to stop having sensual moments in front of him as soon as possible. They're asking for trouble. Edit, for the record, in some places, having the child in the room is considered sexual abuse in and of itself. Please impress on her how inappropriate this is. Edit 2, holy cow. Thanks for the awards. I think this needs to be the top comment. If nothing else gets through to her, the fact that she could realistically lose her children due to suspected sexual abuse should. It kind of is sexual abuse. If your sister and her boyfriend have no self-control to wait till he's in bed sleeping, then they have major issues. Tell them what happens when their son goes to play with other children and starts reenacting what he's seen with them. Their parents or child co-workers won't be as forgiving, and they will call CPS on them, as sexualized behavior is one sign of sexual abuse. This is actually a bit serious. If he does this with other people or in public, your sister is going to either have to try and teach him it's okay if they leave the room, or they can wait until he's asleep in his bed like every other couple. I'm a licensed social worker, though my job is as a mental health therapist for children, and this would be a mandated report for me. I work with a lot of kids with sexually maladaptive behaviors. So a lot of kids who have molested siblings or have otherwise acted out their own sexual abuse on other kids. A lot of those things start out because of poor sexual boundaries of the parents. It isn't always just clear-cut sexual abuse. People think this isn't a big deal because he's so young, but if this kid goes to preschool and starts acting this stuff out on the other kids, your sister is going to have bigger problems. They will wonder why/how he knows to do it, and will probably open an investigation. It honestly could lead to so many problems. She needs to stop now and start teaching him things like good touch/bad touch to hopefully undo some of what has already learned. 2 is definitely old enough to start processing what's going on around you. Why don't they do it while he's sleeping or something? Seriously. Or finally start creating some boundaries with the kid so he learns to be by himself sometimes. 2 is too old to be crying every time mom leaves the room. That would be optimal, but that would require additional effort. It'd be fine if they just did the bed ducking minimum, but they're not even doing that right now. If he's acting out the motions he sees, it's obviously having an effect on him. Hugely inappropriate. Edit. It's not that this is definitely causing irreparable damage to the kid or anything. It's just so easy to not have sex literally in front of your children. She said that he cries if they leave him alone. Then wait for like a minute. It's not like 2-year-olds are known for staying up forever. They nap during the day and then go to bed at like 8. Adults can usually conjure up a little more patience than that. IKR. If he can react out what he's seen, then he's definitely processing it. Obviously he won't have any clue what it is he's processing, but he's started copying the behavior, which means he is past the age where they can do this anymore and get away with him not knowing anything. I can imagine that would get very problematic when the kid goes to nursery/kindergarten. If he started doing that or worse, like trying to act out other things than just the humping, like oral sex for example, to the other kids/adults. Edited. A spell check is a dick. There was a case in my country where the CCTV in a kindergarten catching a 3-4-year-old boy performing oral on another girl during nap time. So it's not a hypothetical scenario at all. I'm a mandated reporter. I would put that in a definitely reportable category as probably considered sexual abuse. If you won't play porn in front of a kid, why would it be okay to have sex directly in front of them? That's fucking nasty. Every winter solstice my father would tell us how he impregnated my mother. I can tell you for a fact this will FCK him up. My mom whored herself in front of me for the first 2 years. One of the PPL on my DFCS report is my doctor reporting me humping my Barney and displaying other sexual behaviors. For a long time after that I had issues with understanding sexual things and acting inappropriately from what I learned at that time. To this day my relationship with sex is very messed up. Please help that child. Please. Holy crap. This is what I thought I'd get my first awards for, but thank both of you so much. Exclamation mark. How about the parents? Exert some self-control and just not have sex while the baby is awake. I mean, is that possible? It seems like a small child staring would kill the mood. I'm concerned that it doesn't. Absolutely. I don't even like having sex with my ducking dog watching lol. You need to call CPS. Imagine it like this. You would be incredibly concerned if the dad was masturbating in front of him. And you'd be concerned if the mother was showing the kid porn movies. So you should definitely be concerned that they are having sex in front of a toddler. It's especially concerning that he is acting out those behaviors and puts him as a target for being sexually abused too, as he would think nothing was out of the ordinary if he was touched in a sexual way. I know parents who have intercourse while their infant is sleeping in a crib in the room, but not a toddler old enough to mimic and watch. FFS, most people won't have sex in front of their pets. Your sister is being really inappropriate. I wish our pet dog would give us some space when we are doing the nasty, but he insists on being right there. It's a little creepy at times. Dog goes out of the room during sex. Maybe he won't actively remember, but it'll affect him subconsciously. This needs to stop, or they'll maybe damage him forever. You should directly tell her that this can't be tolerated. Even if you don't want to destroy her family, you need to protect the boy from this by making it official if she doesn't stop. Also, if you already found out, because he behaves weird, others probably will notice too. I have some memories from when I just turned 2. Fortunately they are very innocent. I have memories of sharing my pudding cup with one of the girls at my preschool when I was probably 32 months old. It's one of the few memories I do have from before autistic meltdowns kicked in. I could understand maybe if you were collaping and had an infant in the room, but 2-year-olds are toddlers. You can talk to a 2-year-old. They have so much understanding. I work at a preschool with 18 months to 3 years old, and they're ducking bright. Their brains are like a sponge. They absorb everything. It's especially clear as he's mimicking these behaviors. This has to stop immediately. My 2-year-old is old enough to 1. Say what the duck in an appropriate situation, and 2. Feel shame when I said that she shouldn't be saying naughty words. I don't want to tell other people or do something rash to make things awkward for her or get her in trouble. Well, tough. There's no magic solution that will make this problem go away with singing birds and rainbows. Report this to CPS. Edit. To the one person that's calling me a shitty parent, Kawaka has been living with us for the last few months, and she will not tone down her language. But you just want to feel superior to someone else. So it probably doesn't matter to you, right? You either protect the sister or protect your nephew. Yes, it's hard because it'll hurt the relationship, but I'd rather my nephew be safe over having a relationship with my sister any day. This is child sexual abuse. Exposing a minor/young child to sexual intercourse/sexual themes is sexual abuse. This would fall under indecent exposure and also including the child and sexual activities. Him being in the room and watching is considered him being engaged and included in the act. This is illegal and grounds for CPS involvement. He very clearly remembers what is happening. If he were to do this at a daycare or preschool when he's older, CPS would be called because they would believe he is being raped or molested in some way. He is absolutely aware of what is happening and will remember this if they keep it up. This is child sexual abuse. They either need to stop, put him in another room, or wait for him to be asleep if they would like to stop abusing their child. You really have to make some sexual sacrifices once you have kids. Like, my ex and I would only do it if our daughter was asleep in her room. I would never want to risk her walking in. And that brings me to my next point. A 2-year-old should absolutely be fine with being in its own room in a crib. Something must be done to get the baby used to this, as it will only get harder as he gets older to get him accustomed to being in his own space. It is most definitely weird to have sex with a 2-year-old in the room. She may think he won't remember it, but he's already mimicking what he is seeing. It's affecting him. It may also cause him to subconsciously carry it with him as he grows, which could lead to sexual disorders. So something she thinks is NBD right now could very literally affect his entire life. Just because she wasn't willing to ensure that he is confident enough to be alone in his room to sleep. She has got to stop. This is probably child abuse. Look up your state's definition of child abuse, for example. In California, indecent exposure is considered child abuse. Sexual abuse is the victimization of a child by sexual activities, including molestation, indecent exposure, fondling, rape, and incest. Link. Circa. gov/1996/010596 child_abuse/CW11096A HTML. Ed suggest reporting this to CPS, not just talking to her. BC, if you talk to her you have no clue if she'll lie to you. Also, the kid probably needs a child psychologist, since he's exhibiting sexual play while too early developmentally. Child abuse should always be reported to the appropriate authorities, so the child can get the help they need. My wife and I have a 2, 5-year-old and 8-month-old. It used to be easy with one kid to have sex during naps. Hard to do when 2 kids nap differently. Guess what? We wait till they're sleeping. So simple. I would 100% report to CPS. It's hard to do, but look at it this way. You either protect your sister who is committing the crime, or protect your nephew who has no control of the situation and is innocent. It's definitely messed up, and she should be in trouble for this. He's definitely too old to be having sex with him in the room, and it's obviously impacting his behavior. If she won't stop on her own, when you tell her it's terrible, you need to call CPS and have them deal with this. I remember things that happened to me when I was 2. So do my friends. This is not okay. Please call CPS. The child's already showing concerning behavior because of what he saw. This needs to stop. Like, now. Former CPS worker. It is inappropriate and abusive, especially if he's acting out what he's seeing on somebody else. It's called exposure to adult sexuality, and she might as well sit him down and make him watch porn. My advice: sit her down and explain that it is abuse. Tell her it's a form of sexual abuse because it's exposure to adult sexuality, regardless of his age. He clearly is remembering what he's seeing and acting out inappropriate. If she can't refrain from sex long enough to do it in front of him, then I would consider reporting her to CPS. I say this because he's going to continue acting out this behavior. It's what he sees. He's going to do it with other children or with other adults. They will call CPS because it's one of the behaviors we look for with kids who've experienced sexual abuse or have been exposed to adult sexuality. If CPS finds out you knew and did nothing, that's failing to protect your nephew, and boom, you take yourself out of the running for possible placement. This happened to me. My BO father sexually assaulted me. My BO father and my mom had sex on the rug on the floor right next to me while I sat on the bed. Please report it. Please get him out of it. It has affected me so badly my whole life. I have always remembered it, but never told anyone before. I just now remember my father sexually abusing me. Please get that child help. Jesus ducking Christ, I regret learning how to read. Why are you not calling CPS? This is worse than showing him porn. I want you to say that out loud to anyone. My sister is showing her 2-year-old child porn of his mother and father, and realize how ducked up and jailable that is. That's literally abusive. He is imitating the sex acts. That's something sexually abused children do, and psychologists are trained to spot to diagnose sexual abuse And the whole he won't remember it when he's older ducking hello? Oh. Question mark question mark question mark. Question mark question mark. How many pedos use that excuse? E. How many junkies or abusers use that excuse? E. And also it's borderline not true. E. Some people do have memories of that age. E. Especially if it sticks out or is traumatizing. G. Now excuse me while I go throw up, thank you. In the UK, there are offences about performing sexual activities in front of a child. It's wrong. And surely it would put them off their stride as soon as he wakes up. Exclamation mark. Yeah, this is completely inappropriate. Kids at that age are like a sponge and they are aware of way more than we think. As a side note, I don't know how it doesn't put them off. Sometimes I even feel guilty masturbating if my cat is in the room. Isn't this making pornography available to a child? But I roll? Question mark? Question mark? Pretty sure that's mega fucking illegal. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. This is a tool sexual predators and groomers do to desensitize victims so they can abuse them easier. Not saying your sister or her boyfriend are sexual predators, but that's definitely setting the kid up very poorly. Yeah, this can be considered sexual abuse. Definitely call somebody. At 2 years old my son could talk. He's almost 5 and still remembers things from when he was 2. They will remember. Nothing borderline about it. This is abuse. Here's an idea. Don't have sex when the kid is awake. They are adults and should be able to control themselves. Mandatory reporter here. I'd report this. Both my mother and my aunt work in a kindergarten and always tells me about kids like these. Those children don't know what's appropriate. Sometimes they just stand in the room trying to jerk off. One boy told his girlfriend he would break up with her if she wouldn't take his penis in her mouth. She did it and they were busted. What followed was, as most people already suggested in the comments, a visit by CPS. Save this child. If they don't change their behavior, you have to call CPS yourself. This kid won't be normal if you don't. Your sister is nasty AF and a bad parent. Guess what? When you have kids, you lose some free time. When you have kids you can't just duck whenever you want to. Like, how in the world does she thinks that's okay? Like what happens when the kid walks up to them and stuff? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark? Homie, call CPS or your country's equivalent if you have one. Edit, paging you/Ebby45. I think it's wildly inappropriate and borderline abusive. It isn't borderline abusive. It is sexual abuse. Call CPS. Having a 2-year-old daughter makes me want to throat punch your sister. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.